Something just blew up in Chicago, and I'm not talking about that icy wind off Lake Michigan. An offensive coordinator who just got here is already being hunted down by one of the biggest stars in the NFL. You think that's a coincidence? I'm telling you, this proves the level of talent Ryan Poles brought into this organization. But hold up. While we're losing key pieces from the staff, the front office is cooking up draft moves that could completely reshape our offense. And if you think that's all, we got to talk about what really went down in the defensive trenches last season, because there are some truths that need to be said. Stick around till the end, because we're breaking down every detail of these three stories that have Chicago in the eye of the storm. And if you love the Bears as much as I do, you better smash that like button and subscribe, because what's coming for this franchise is straight up historic. First story, Declan Doyle and Lamar Jackson. Let me start with something that's been blowing my mind since the news dropped. Declan Doyle, our offensive coordinator, who only just wrapped up one season with the Bears, just got hired by the Baltimore Ravens. But here's the part that's got the whole league buzzing. It was none other than Lamar Jackson, two-time NFL MVP, who personally asked for him to be hired. Do you get how big that is? Do you understand what it means when one of the most electric, most dynamic, most talented quarterbacks in the league saw what Doyle did with Caleb Williams in Chicago and said, I want that for myself? Let me ask you this. What does that say about the level of coaching Ben Johnson brought to this city? What does that say about Ryan Poles' vision? Let's look at the facts, because this matters. According to reports from Ian Rappaport, Tom Pelissero, and Mike Garafolo of NFL Network, Lamar Jackson was instrumental in Baltimore's decision to hire Declan Doyle as their new offensive coordinator. The key word here is instrumental. He didn't just like the idea. He didn't just give it a thumbs up. Jackson pushed for this to happen. The guy used his influence, his power as the face of the franchise to bring in the coordinator he saw shine in Chicago. This came right after the Ravens fired the legendary John Harbaugh in a move that shocked the entire league. Harbaugh, a Super Bowl winning coach who'd been in Baltimore for over a decade, got let go because he wanted to keep Todd Monken as his OC. But Monken ended up heading to Cleveland to become the Browns' head coach. So Baltimore was left without a head coach, without an OC, and with a superstar quarterback carrying a $74.5 million cap hit in 2026. Now here's the part that's got me thinking, analysing this from every angle. The Bears thought Doyle was coming back for 2026. The guy had pulled out of the running for the Eagles' OC job, and everyone in Chicago breathed a sigh of relief thinking, all right, we've got our guy back. We've got continuity. We can keep building on what we did in 2025. But then Baltimore shows up with Jesse Minter as their new head coach, Lamar Jackson, working behind the scenes. And boom, Doyle's gone. And you know what's wild? Doyle was only with us for one season, just 1 year, where he helped Ben Johnson turn our offense into the sixth best unit in the entire league. Caleb Williams made a massive leap in his second year, going from a promising rookie to one of the most exciting young quarterbacks in the NFL. And a big part of that growth came from the system Johnson and Doyle put in place. Think about what Caleb did in 2025. The guy improved his completion percentage, cut down on picks, upped his touchdowns, and most importantly, he looked comfortable in the pocket. He looked like a quarterback who understood the system, who could read defenses, who could make every throw in today's NFL. That doesn't happen by accident. That happens when you've got coaches who know how to develop young talent. I think this signals two major things. First, Ryan Poles has an incredible eye for talent, not just in players, but in coaches. The guy brought in Ben Johnson, the most sought-after OC on the market. He brought in Dennis Allen to run the defense. And he surrounded Johnson with assistants like Doyle, who clearly know what they're doing. Second, Chicago is becoming a coaching talent factory, which is both a blessing and a curse. It's a good thing because it means we've got an elite organization. It means top coaches want to come here, work here, learn here. But it's also tough because we can't keep everyone. We can't pay everyone. And eventually, our best assistants are going to get offers to be coordinators or head coaches elsewhere. Now let's talk about what this means for Lamar Jackson. The guy's got a $74.5 million cap hit in 2026. That's superstar money. That's franchise quarterback money. That's you are the future of this team money. And Jackson's heading into contract extension talks this offseason. According to reports, one of the reasons he's willing to stay in Baltimore, one of the reasons he's committed to the franchise is because he got the coordinator he wanted. That's power. That's a quarterback using his influence to improve his situation. And I respect that. I respect a player of that caliber saying, if I'm going to sign a massive extension, if I'm going to commit the next few years of my career to this team, I need the tools to succeed. And for Lamar, that tool is Declan Doyle. But here's my question. What did Lamar see in Doyle? What did he see in the system Doyle ran in Chicago that made him say, that's what I need? I think he saw versatility. He saw creativity. He saw a system that adapts to the quarterback's strengths instead of forcing the quarterback to adapt to the system. Caleb Williams and Lamar Jackson are very different quarterbacks. Caleb's more of a traditional pocket passer who can extend plays. Lamar's a generational dual threat who can torch you with his arm or his legs. But both need systems that put them in position to succeed, that play to their strengths, that hide their weaknesses. And clearly, Lamar saw that Doyle can do that. He saw how Doyle helped develop Caleb, how he designed plays that maximized his talent, how he built an offense that ended up ranked 6th in the league. And Lamar said, I want that. So what does this mean for the Bears? Well, Chicago already promoted Press Taylor to be the new offensive coordinator. Taylor was on Johnson's staff this season, so there's continuity. He knows the system. He knows the players. He knows Caleb. But let's be real. Losing Doyle hurts. The guy proved he can develop young quarterbacks, and now he's going to get the chance to work with an established MVP. I'll say this. If Doyle succeeds in Baltimore with Lamar, and I believe he will, it just confirms that what happened in Chicago in 2025 wasn't luck. It was by design. It was a well-executed system with coaches who know what they're doing. It was Ryan Poles building an organization the right way. But here's my question for you, Bears fans. Should we be worried that Chicago is becoming a stepping stone for other teams? We've lost coordinators before when we were good. Now we lose Doyle after just 1 year. Or is this just the price you pay for having an elite organization that attracts top-tier talent? I think it's the latter. I think this is a sign we're doing things right. But I won't lie, it stings to see a talented coach leave after just 1 season, especially when that coach played a key role in developing our franchise quarterback. Second story, Jadarian Price in the draft. If you thought we were done upgrading the offense, if you thought Ryan Poles was just going to sit back and be satisfied with what we've got, think again, because there's a new mock draft from Gene Chamberlain over at Chicago Bears on SI that has the Bears taking Jadarian Price, running back out of Notre Dame, with the 57th overall pick in the second round of the 2026 draft. And let me tell you something, this move makes all the sense in the world. Let's talk about what Jadarian Price did at Notre Dame, because his numbers are eye-popping. The guy carried the ball 113 times for 674 yards and 11 touchdowns, averaging 6 yards per carry. 6 yards per carry, folks! That's efficiency. That's explosiveness. That's a running back who can flip a game with 1 touch. But here's the crazy part. Price put up those numbers as the second back on the depth chart behind Jeremiah Love. Love is a freak, a guy who's probably going top 10 in this draft, a running back with all-pro potential. And Price was behind him. You know what that tells me? It tells me Price racked up 674 yards and 11 touchdowns without being the lead guy. It tells me that when he got his chances, he made the most of them. It tells me there's a whole lot more potential there that we haven't even seen yet because he didn't get the volume. Now imagine what he could do as the number 1 guy in an NFL backfield. Imagine what he could do in Ben Johnson's system, a system known for maximizing running back talent, for creating space, for designing plays that put backs in position to succeed. Let's be real about why Chicago needs this. The Bears' run game in 2025 was, let's call it, inconsistent. We had moments where we could run the ball effectively, control the clock, keep our defence fresh. But we also had games where we couldn't get anything going on the ground. Caleb Williams had to carry way too much of the load. The guy threw the ball more than Ben Johnson probably wanted. And while Caleb is special, while he's got the talent to be elite in this league, we can't ask him to do it all. We can't put the entire offense on his shoulders. We need a run game that can control the tempo. We need a back who can keep defenses honest, who can make linebackers hesitate instead of dropping into coverage, who can give Caleb more play-action options. And Price could be that guy. But here's what really gets me excited about Price. His versatility in the passing game. The guy caught 6 passes for 87 yards and 2 touchdowns at Notre Dame. That's nearly 15 yards per catch. That's a running back who can come out of the backfield, run routes, create mismatches against linebackers, and do damage in the passing game. In today's NFL, especially in Ben Johnson's system, you need backs who can do both. You need guys who can run between the tackles, bounce it outside, catch passes, and protect the quarterback. And Price clearly has those tools. Let me ask you this. Wouldn't it be amazing to have a back who can break off a 60-yard run at any moment? Someone who makes defenses think twice before blitzing Caleb? A guy who can convert 3rd and short with power or 3rd and long with his hands? Now let's be realistic about expectations. Price probably won't be an immediate starter. Rookie running backs need time to adjust to NFL speed, to learn how to read blocks at the pro level, to understand pass protection schemes. And that's okay. That's totally fine. Price can come in and contribute in a rotation. He can learn Ben Johnson's system. He can develop behind whoever we bring in through free agency or whoever's already on the roster. And in the meantime, he can help on special teams, take carries in specific situations, and be a weapon in the passing game. And here's what I'm thinking. The Bears are close to being a Super Bowl team. We won the NFC North in 2025. We made the playoffs as the number 2 seed in the NFC. We won our first playoff game in 15 years. We showed we can hang with anybody in this league. But to take that next step, from playoff team to legit Super Bowl contender, we need to get better in the trenches and on the ground. We need to be able to run the ball when the game's on the line. We need to control the clock in the 4th quarter. We need to keep our defense fresh. Getting Price in the 2nd round would be incredible value. We're not talking about using a 1st-round pick on a running back, which is a tough sell in today's NFL, where the position's value has dropped. We're talking about getting 1st-round talent in the 2nd round because he played behind a future top 10 pick. That's smart draft capital. That's Ryan Poles being calculated, being patient, being strategic. The guy's shown he knows how to build a roster in today's NFL. He knows when to be aggressive and when to wait. I think Ryan Poles is going to be aggressive this offseason. He's shown he's not afraid to make bold moves. He brought in Ben Johnson when everyone thought he was going elsewhere. He rebuilt the offensive line. He added weapons at the skill positions. And now, with the team ready to compete, he's going to keep adding talent. Adding a dynamic playmaker like Price fits perfectly with Poles' philosophy of building a complete team, not just focusing on one side of the ball, not just building for now or for later, building a balanced roster that can win now and keep winning in the future. But you know what excites me the most? We're talking about adding talent to a team that's already good. We're not rebuilding. We're not searching for foundational pieces. We're in let's go win it all mode. We're adding weapons to a team that already won the NFC North. That's exciting. That's the kind of position you want to be in as a franchise. When you're adding talent to improve, not to survive. When you're looking for the final piece of the puzzle, not trying to find the corner pieces. And Price could be exactly that. A piece that takes our offense from top 6 to top 3. A piece that forces defenses to respect every part of our attack. A piece that gives Caleb Williams more options, more flexibility, more firepower. 3rd story, defensive tackle evaluation. Now we got to talk about something that didn't get nearly enough attention during the 2025 season. Something that absolutely needs to be addressed if we're going to be real about where this team stands. Our defensive tackles. Mike Pendleton from Bears Wire just dropped a full breakdown of the position. And there's some good, some bad, and some stuff that's got me raising my eyebrows. Let's start with Gervon Dexter Sr. because the dude deserves some love. Dexter had a quiet but seriously impressive season. 7 sacks from the defensive tackle spot, 44 total tackles, and he finished top 20 in total pressures and hits. He added 26 hurries over the season, which means he was constantly in quarterbacks' faces. Dexter got a B+ grade from Pendleton, and I'm totally on board with that. But here's my issue. Dexter should be getting way more recognition than he is. The guy is developing into a legit force on the interior of our D-line, and in a league where dominant defensive tackles are getting harder to find, having someone like Dexter is a huge asset. Think about it. 7 sacks from the interior is serious production. That's not an edge rusher coming off the corner. That's a guy collapsing the pocket from the inside, making life hell for quarterbacks, forcing them to roll out right into our edge guys. That's exactly what you want in today's NFL. But here's the question. Can Dexter take that next step? Can he go from being solid to being elite? Because that's the difference between being a playoff team and being a Super Bowl contender. You need guys who don't just hold their own. You need guys who take over games. Now let's talk about Grady Jarrett. The veteran came over from Atlanta after 11 years with the Falcons. And while his numbers weren't flashy, 3 sacks, 21 total pressures on 610 snaps, his impact went way beyond the stat sheet. Jarrett got a B grade, and I think that's fair. When you look at the full picture, Jarrett was mostly used in run situations. He wasn't out there to rush the passer on 3rd down. He was there to plug gaps, eat up blocks, and do the dirty work that doesn't show up in the box score, but is absolutely critical to a successful defense. But here's what really matters with Jarrett. His leadership in the locker room. The guy came from a franchise where he was a leader for over a decade. He knows what it takes to win in this league. He knows how to prepare like a pro. He knows how to handle the ups and downs of a 17-game season. Let me ask you this. How much is leadership worth in a locker room? Because on a team trying to change its culture under Ben Johnson, on a team trying to go from perennial loser to real contender, having a vet like Jarrett who knows how to win is priceless. You can't measure that in stats. You can't put a number on having a guy in the room who can talk to the young players, who can keep everyone focused through the grind, who can be a steady voice when things get tough. Andrew Billings got a C grade, and honestly, that's fair. The guy played a very specific role, mostly run defense, and totaled 20 stops on the season. Billings didn't stand out in any one area, according to PFF metrics, but his big body in the middle helped create opportunities for others. Think of Billings like a fullback on offense. He's not going to put up big numbers. He's not going to be on the highlight reel, but he's doing the grunt work that lets other guys shine. He's taking on double teams. He's clogging lanes. He's making it harder for teams to run up the gut. Now here's where things get interesting and a little concerning. Chris Williams and Shamar Turner both got incomplete grades, and that's got me thinking about our depth at this position. Williams played in 14 games this season, but had a super limited role. The guy finished with just 14 total tackles, and that was basically it. His incomplete grade comes from the fact that he barely saw the field, even though he made some plays when he did. But Shamar Turner is the one that really worries me. Turner was our 2nd-round pick in the 2025 draft, a guy with the versatility to play both inside and outside. Someone who was supposed to be a key piece in our defensive rotation. But a knee injury wiped out most of his rookie season, limiting him to just 5 games. And you know what concerns me about that? We didn't build enough depth at the position. Turner has the potential to be special. He was a 2nd-round pick for a reason. He's got the size, the athleticism, the versatility you want in a modern defensive lineman, but his potential is still a mystery because we didn't get to see him play. Injuries are part of the game. I get that. But when your 2nd-round pick loses almost his entire rookie year, that hurts. That's a year of development gone. That's a year where he could have been learning Dennis Allen's system, adjusting to NFL speed, becoming a contributor. The overall grade for the position was a B. And honestly, I think that's generous. Yeah, Dexter had a strong season. Yeah, Jarrett brought invaluable leadership. Yeah, Billings did his job in specific situations. But when you look at the total production from our defensive tackles, When you look at the collective impact they had, it wasn't enough for a team with Super Bowl aspirations. Here's my take, and feel free to disagree in the comments. Dennis Allen, our defensive coordinator, needs more firepower on the interior. The Bears have a legendary defensive tradition. We're talking Brian Urlacher, Julius Peppers, Akiem Hicks, the monsters of the Midway. But to get back to that level, to have a defense that can dominate games again, we need to win in the trenches. You can't win championships in today's NFL without being able to pressure the quarterback. And yeah, you can bring heat off the edge, but the most disruptive pressure, the kind that really wrecks quarterbacks, comes from the inside. It comes from defensive tackles who can collapse the pocket, who can force QBs into mistakes, who can create chaos with just a four-man rush. I'm telling you right now, Ryan Poles needs to make the D-line a top priority this offseason. Whether it's through the draft or free agency, we need to add a legit game-wrecking defensive tackle. Someone who can consistently collapse the pocket, make life miserable for opposing quarterbacks, and be a difference maker on defense. And you know why this matters so much? Because we play in the NFC North. We've got to face Aaron Rodgers twice a year if he stays in Green Bay. We've got to deal with the Vikings and their explosive offense. We've got to take on the Lions, who just won the Super Bowl and have one of the most dangerous offenses in the league. If we can't generate pressure from the interior, if we can't collapse the pocket, if we can't make those quarterbacks uncomfortable, we're going to be in trouble. We're going to be chasing them all day. We're going to be letting them make every throw they want. The good news is Dexter is improving. The guy showed real growth from year 1 to year 2. If he can keep trending up, if he can take another leap in 2026, we might have something special there. And if Turner can stay healthy, if he can get a full off-season under his belt and come in ready to contribute, we've got real potential there too. But we need more. We need a true game changer. We need someone who can be our Aaron Donald, our Chris Jones, our guy that offenses have to game plan around every single week. So there you have it, Bears fans. 3 massive stories shaping the future of this franchise. 3 developments that are going to impact how we look in 2026 and beyond. We lost Declan Doyle to the Ravens because Lamar Jackson, a 2-time MVP, saw the magic Doyle created in Chicago with Caleb Williams and said, "I want that for myself." Does it hurt? Absolutely. Is it frustrating to lose a talented coach after just 1 season? No doubt. But does it also confirm that we've got something special brewing here in Chicago? That Ryan Poles is building an elite organization? 100%! We might be adding Jadarian Price in the 2nd round of the draft, a dynamic running back out of Notre Dame who averaged 6 yards per carry while being the number 2 guy. A player who could give Caleb Williams the offensive balance he needs, who could force defenses to respect our ground game, who could be a weapon in the passing attack. Is he the answer to all our backfield problems? Maybe not. But is he a big step in the right direction? I absolutely think so. And our defensive line, specifically the defensive tackle spot, needs serious attention. Gervon Dexter is on the rise and showed real flashes of being a solid player. Grady Jarrett brought invaluable leadership to the locker room. But if we're going to compete for a championship, if we're going to beat the Lions, the Vikings, the Packers twice a year, we need more production from the interior of our defensive line. Now let me ask you this, and I want real answers in the comments. Are you worried about losing Declan Doyle? Or do you trust Press Taylor to keep the offense rolling at the same level? Do you think Jadarian Price is the right running back for this team? Or should we be looking for a different type of back? And which defensive tackle should we be targeting in free agency to beef up our interior D-line? I want to hear your takes. I want to know what you think about these moves. Because this is a community, a family of Bears fans that's been through it all together for years. And now we're finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. We're seeing an organization that's finally doing things the right way. But we only get to the Super Bowl if we stay informed, if we stay locked in, if we stay united as a fan base. If this video gave you info you didn't have, if it made you think differently about the Bears' future, if it gave you perspective on where this team is headed, then hit that like button right now. If you want to be part of this family and stay up to date with every move Ryan Poles makes, every decision Ben Johnson takes, every play Caleb Williams makes, every free agent signing, every draft pick. Then subscribe to this channel right now, because I guarantee you we've got more explosive Bears news coming tomorrow. I guarantee you this off-season is going to be an emotional roller coaster. We're going to have free agency moves. We're going to have the draft. We're going to have contract extension decisions. And you can't afford to miss a single second of what's coming for Chicago. This city deserves a winner. This city deserves a team that competes for championships. And finally, after years of mediocrity, after years of bad decisions, after years of false starts, we've got an organization that's building something special. I'm Miguel, Bear Truth Morales, and this is Bears Nation. Bear down, family. I'll see you in the next video, where we'll keep breaking down every move of this historic offseason.